All right. And welcome back to another edition of the MLB Inside the Diamond podcast. I'm your host, Tom Johnston. I'm joined once again by LaMarr Fields. How you doing, brother? How's your week going?
Pretty good. Can't complain.
Hey, we're all there, you know. I'm doing pretty well myself. We got a lot of baseball news to get into first. Rule number one is Andrew McCutchen resigns with the Pittsburgh Pirates on a 1 year, $5 million deal. I watched the press conference in its entirety, and you know, I'm kind of like a little bit edgy with this because Ben Charrington, the GM, really didn't have much to do with this one. This was realistically a lot on Bob Nutting himself, and it's just I do see where the move is coming from. Andrew McCutchen, he was with the Pirates in his younger years, and now he's able to, really be that veteran guy that, it's pressed on. And, I can understand it, but Kutch did make one thing clear. This is not a farewell tour. He came here to win. I think that it can be a nice platoon role for him based off of him playing in the outfield and DHing. But overall, I'm just, kind of surprised that, he really turned down offers from other teams that included more money. But I guess, what really kind of in some ways sold him, to say the least, was the fact that he was going to return home. He's going to have a nice group of young guys under his wing, and he's going to be able to do what it is that he can do. Nobody's wore his number 22 since he left the organization, so that's always a good thing. Your thoughts on this? I know we touched on this a little bit. I wasn't sure how much we touched on it the last time, but now that the signing and everything's official now, it's it's a splash.
Still, I think it's a good sign for a Pirates. He's a veteran player, helped the young guys out. Still got a little pop in his bat. Hit 17 homers last year, 27 the year before that. He come back to where it all started and help the Pirates hopefully have a better season than they did last season.
Yeah, it's actually kind of crazy. He's coming from the Brewers, so he's already familiar with the NL Central. I kind of have found it weird all these kind of years how, like, whenever he's bounced around a few teams, and he found himself on the Brewers. Now he's back with the Pirates. So, there's no short strange of NL Central familiarity here. On to the second topic now, LaMarr. This is out in your neck of the woods. Arte Moreno has officially announced that the Angels are no longer up for sale. There's a lot of people that are saying that he's looking to maintain ownership from this year and beyond. What are your thoughts? Because I have done some research on Moreno, and it is actually crazy how much heat this guy has gotten as the Angels owner.
Yeah, it's strange. Thought he would sell the team, but for whatever reason, I didn't look at deep dive into it. But he bought the team for 183.5 million in 2003. Then they said there the Forbes they're valuing Angels at 2.2 billion as of March. So I don't know. It's interesting.
I was doing research on this guy, and a lot of his wealth is primarily through investments in CBS corporate. And I'm just like, this is crazy. Bought the ball club, I believe, off of Walt Disney, and just to see how much hatred Angels fans have towards him, it's unreal because like they get mad. Like I can understand this. You buy the Angels and they're the Anaheim Angels, and then all of a sudden, you change them to the LA Angels of Anaheim, which I could honestly see that being pretty upsetting. The fans are really taking, the brand itself away. And then all of a sudden, it's just, you know, and to top it off, here's what I really don't get. Okay, it's also like the fans are upset because you're not even going to sell the team. And then I was actually listening to a podcast this morning, and I realized this, and I think I was listening to another episode yesterday. There's all these Ohtani promotions, but they're all prior to the trade deadline. That's like that catches your attention though too, because it's just like, okay, you have all these promotions for this player, but they're all prior to the trade deadline. Like, to me, that would signal something, because it's just like, okay, why are all these promotions prior to the deadline?
Yeah, it's a great situation. Let's see if the Angels can start turning around, start winning some games this upcoming year. Got talent on the roster. Just need to get the pitching in order and hope they can stay healthy.
I mean, do you think that, okay, because whenever I heard the news break that Moreno wasn't going to sell the team, do you think that it could play out the one of two scenarios where, number one, he sees where the team is at the All-Star break / trade deadline, and if they're in the thick of things, then, he might start contract negotiations with Ohtani like prior to this season or whatever the case is? Or do you think that plan B is, depending on where the Angels as an organization are at leading up to the trade deadline, I'm either just going to, since fans really hate the fact that I'm still maintaining ownership, do you think plan B might be, I'm just going to get like trade Trout and Ohtani and get what I can get and then just signal a full entire rebuild?
Man, it's hard to say. It's hard to trade stars like Trout and Ohtani, but yeah, if you trade both of them, you get a boatload of the talent and young players in return. But I mean, then you got to hope that them players that you get back develop and be good. I don't know. Might trade one of them, but I can't see them trading both.
I agree. I think that in some senses, I think that Ohtani might have the more trade value to him, just because he's like on like he's either in the last year of his current deal or on a 1 year extension. Either way, it's like, Ohtani's due for a big payday. Whereas Trout, he's already been extended multiple times by the Angels, but then then the ripple effect is, okay, if you get rid of Ohtani, why have you signed Trout long term? And more importantly, if the ball club isn't where you think it's going to be at the deadline, why actually keep them both? Because let's be realistic. Here's what Moreno could say: I'm just going to trade these two guys that are the realistically the core of my program, of my team right now, and I'm just going to ask for a boatload of major leaguers and then some back, because they're already major league guys that, because there's talks that Trout, or not Trout, but Ohtani might go to the Mets, or he might sign with the Mets after this, or, whatever the case is. But it's just, there's certain sides, it's just like, if I'm an Angels fan, I'm just really like, what is going on with this team and this organization right now?
Yeah, exactly. I got to start doing something.
So here's a trick question for you. What Major League Baseball team do you think in this offseason has spent the most money? And I'll give you a hint. It does reside in the AL.
Spent the most money?
Yes.
Oh, shoot.
Without looking it up, just take a guess.
Shoot. I'm trying to think. I don't remember who.
Listen, I was asked this same question and I kind of stumbled. And then when a person gave the answer, I was like, no, I shouldn't have stumbled, because realistically, the team is so easy.
Yankees?
Yes, because they re-signed Aaron Judge, even though he was a Yankee but became a free agent. The Mets and the Yankees have collectively spent, I believe, $1 billion so far this offseason, but the Yankees have spent the most because they have re-signed Aaron Judge to that lucrative deal. Now, on to what came out today. Hall of Fame uh, ballot came out today, and the only person on the active ballot that is actually going to be enshrined in Cooperstown is Scott Rowland, and he will also be joined by Fred McGriff. They'll both be enshrined in Cooperstown July 23rd. Ironically, that's a day after my birthday. But just seeing the list of people, I actually took a photo of this for a very good reason. Just to see the list of people that Roland did beat out. You have guys like Todd Helton, Billy Wagner, Andrew Jones, Gary Sheffield, Carlos Beltran, A-Rod, Manny Ramirez, Andy Pettit, Bobby Abreu, Jimmy Rollins, Francisco Rodriguez, Torrey Hunter. Just so that people know, Torrey Hunter only received 27 votes, which was 6.9. You at least needed 272, I believe, or at least 75% of the vote. And Scott Rowland was the only one to do that. Todd Helton came in at next at 72.2. But your thoughts on that? I know that there are a couple other guys that were, on this ballot too that I did not name, but they really received little to no votes at all. What are your thoughts now? The guys that I mentioned, who do you think probably should have received more? I know Torrey Hunter's at the bottom of that list, so is Francisco Rodriguez. Bobby Abreu is kind of in the middle. A-Rod actually received 139 votes, which equates to 35.7. Here's a big one, though. Jeff Kent had 181 votes, which was 46.5%, but it's his final year on the ballot.
Yeah, man, I don't get some of these ballots and who they vote for. About 11 o'clock today, MLB Network showed that it was 196 ballots that were known, and Scott Rowland had 80% of the vote at that time, and Todd Helton had 79. See, they once they got all the ballots in, they both dropped a little bit. Rowland got in with 76.3, and Todd Helton just missed. And somebody said, and one of the guys on MLB Network said that either Scott Rowland or Todd Hilton was gonna get in by just by 10 votes or just miss by like 10 votes, and that's pretty much what happened.
When I
And
look at this,
there's some players on like Andrew Jones. I don't understand why he not in the Hall of Fame. He got
yeah,
probably the best defensive center fielder, and he hit 434 or something like that home runs. There's no reason for that. And Jeff Kent got the most home runs by any second baseman. And then somebody like I'm looking down at this was like why would some people wasting votes on Bronson Arroyo and R.A. Dickey? I know it's just one point, but come on, man.
I don't get this, okay? Todd Helton, now I get Todd Helton probably has a couple more years on the ballot, this, that, the other, and the whole 9 yards. But okay, a guy like Scott Rowland, okay, I understand he gets in. But whenever you look at some of these guys, okay, for example, a guy like Carlos Beltran, a guy that only received 181 votes, which equates to 46.5%. This guy was one of the premier switch hitters in like all of Major League Baseball. I mean, on top of this, though, Billy Wagner only getting 265 votes, which equates to 68.1. He's one of the most, he made a name for himself as a closer. Andrew Jones, I really don't get how he didn't even get in. To see how, you know what? I'll just say this, just to see how some of these guys on the ballot got voted for and how many votes that they get. I really question the credibility of who is on this committee that votes these people in. I mean, it's apparent. Like, do you watch baseball? Like, and for a guy like A-Rod, it can get 139 votes, 35.7%. I'm going to just be real with people. I'm surprised he actually didn't get less votes because, you talk about a guy like, I get what I get the home runs, but people got to understand is you've been caught with steroid juice multiple times. You've lied about it multiple times. The word around baseball is you're really not liked that well as a teammate, to be fair. A lot of what he did happened in New York, and the media just makes big, headlines about anything in New York. I just now a guy like Torrey Hunter, this is what blows my mind. You'd only receive 27 votes, which is 6.9%. But the thing that bothers me is Torrey Hunter carried himself with class and a lot of respect. He wasn't a guy that got involved in like a lot of mayhem and this, that, the other. He was a well-liked guy, this, that, the other. How does a guy like that only get 27 votes? I get that he has more years to come on the Hall of Fame ballot, but you know, some of these guys, it's like a slap in the face to them. It's just like, some of these guys should realistically be first ballot Hall of Famers, and here we are like saying, yeah, to me, with what Torrey Hunter did throughout his career. Now, give Grant, people could say he didn't do much, but to me, he was a great defensive guy. He had power in his bat. At least he had the power for a Torrey Hunter and everything. Though I like the way he carried himself. To me, it's a slap in the face. You only give him 27 votes. I mean, a guy like Jimmy Rollins with 50 votes, made a big name for him. I would honestly say he could make a name for himself as a Philadelphia Philly. I mean, I know he did bounce around after that, but it's just some of these guys, I just think to myself, like, how did you only receive that many votes? Like, I think we should really relook at the criteria for these writers so that just like maybe it's the writers that are the issue and not the player, because sometimes I think some of these writers really put their biased into it, and it's just like, I mean, people can make the claim that Bond should be in, Pete Rose should be in, this, that, the other, but I'm a person that looks at it as you shouldn't cheat, you should play your heart out, and you should just do the game clean. Like, you know,
That's all fine and dandy, but then that goes out the window when they let Big Poppy in.
yeah, that's true. That is true. It's just, hey, the Hall of Fame's announced, and there will be two guys that go in this year. That's all the baseball we have. Now on to the NFL, because I decided let's make this a broad range. That way we have a lot to talk about, maybe cut down each segment a bit. The Chiefs are now in the AFC title game for the fifth straight year. Let's just face it, the Jaguars kind of played them a little bit better than what I expected. I know I was telling my buddy this on Monday that there are far more talented teams than the Jaguars were this year that go into Arrowhead, and they have a tougher time playing the Chiefs. And, I commend Pat Mahomes for being injured in that game, still coming back and finding a will to win and this, that, the other. But here's one thing I got to ask you, LaMarr, is as an opposing defensive coordinator, if your number one guy, which is Pat Mahomes, who can do it all, throw and run, goes down, why wouldn't you just start double teaming Travis Kelce from the start, knowing that that's the Chiefs' number one target? I mean, think about it. How many times Travis Kelce was actually very little to not really double team, and there's no Tariq Hill, and Juju Smith-Schuster's kind of here and there with it. Why are you not like double teaming Kelce? Like, why aren't you taking their number one offensive threat away and like trying to show the Chiefs, like, all right, your quarterback's injured, like you got to find another way to beat me. To me, like the defensive coordinator for Jacksonville was just all in limbo. It's like, I don't know what to do now because all I played for was Pat Mahomes, and that's just like he's gone. And it's like, why not do that?
Yeah. I always wonder that every week why they don't double team Travis Kelce, but I mean, I don't understand it. I know we got little ways to get open, what's the name moves in the pocket so we can get open that way too. But yeah, you gotta start paying attention. You gotta try to take Travis Kelce away.
Now, I do commend Pat Mahomes for coming back in, but I do think the odds have drastically shifted in the favor of the Bengals for maybe winning on Wednesday. We'll get more into that and into the next podcast when we preview everything. But I do know that, if Pat Mahomes, because like just judging by the injury that I seen and everybody else seen, I just don't think that Pat Mahomes can at least get the 70% health wise. And he's not a guy that really needs to have drastic amount of team reps, but I just think that overall, I just think that, if he's anything but like if he's less than 70%, you got Joe Burrow and the Bengals coming to town. Like, may I remind you, this is the same Bengals team that kind of took an insult to the NFL. And I might be prematurely saying this, but I also want your thoughts on this because both prior to both divisional games being played, the NFL says we're already selling tickets for the neutral site AFC Championship game. Like, you're just assuming that the Bills are going to take care of business. You're just assuming the Chiefs are going to win. I could see why they could just assume that, but like, buddy, don't assume stuff in the NFL. Like, to me, I think the Bengals took that bulletin board material. They took that as, oh, the NFL just insulted us. Like, they don't think we're going to win this, this game and this, that, the other. The Bengals take care of business. Now Joe Burrow's like, yeah, you might want to reissue all those refunds. Why even take that step as the NFL to say we're already going to sell the neutral site AFC Championship game tickets? Like, really?
Well, honestly, to me, that situation way blown out of proportion. They sell playoff tickets early anyway. I was a season ticket holder for many years, and in 2016, when the Raiders were close to winning, when the Raiders were of course towards the end of the season, they were selling divisional round home playoff tickets and AFC Championship game tickets in case it would have been at home. So that's why what you do, respect for them. Wait, don't sell tickets till Monday. Don't
I
sell
mean,
tickets. I mean, you can't do that. You gotta sell tickets. You gotta get the tickets done early because these the fans gotta fly to Atlanta if the game was gonna be there and have it away. So that's why the stuff is funny how the media just blows stuff out of proportion just to create all kind of talk about when this been going on for years.
I can't attest to that because I never had season
Yeah,
tickets,
it's been
so
going on for years. Towards the end of the
I
season,
don't know.
towards the end of the season, every team starts selling playoff tickets that's in the running.
Hey, I can only take it from you because hey, you said you were a season ticket holder, so
That's
I'll
why I was
take
like,
your word for
that's why I was like, yeah, it's crazy to cut it out with all this stuff.
it. That's just like the Cowboys. A lot of things went wrong for the Cowboys and the 49ers. I'm actually really interested in the Eagles 49ers NFC Championship game. We'll have more on that on Sunday, but yeah, that. Hey, listen, I'm a believer the media does blow stuff out of proportion itself too. Your thoughts though on the Cowboys and 49ers. I know that it did not it just didn't look like it was a good day for Dallas.
No, not at all.
That's how I feel. Not at all. That's
No.
how I feel. Yeah, probably it's not even really worth talking about it because I just know a lot of Cowboys fans are just going to be like, this is crazy. I've seen a lot of things on Instagram of them like throwing their TVs, getting all upset. Totally get it. Yeah, but you work your fans up and this, that, the other. We'll transition to some college football now. The windows for the transfer portal and for players to declare for the draft have officially ended. We have a little under 10 minutes, so we're gonna just rapidly fire through this. Blake Corum's gonna return to Michigan. He's gonna get a big NIL payday of at least $1 million. CJ Stroud, though, waits until the last day to declare for the NFL draft. Your thoughts on those?
I knew Corum was going to stay. He got injured last year. Come back healthy, have a good season, and be a top draft pick next year. CJ Stroud, there was rumors floating around that he might was looking at a huge NIL deal for next year that would have gave him more money than we had made in the pros. But who knows if that was true or not? But I thought he would declare. He got a good college football playoff, so you might as well strike while the iron's hot.
Yeah, here's the way that I look at it is Stroud is going to go to a team that needed a quarterback anyway because he's one of the very few good ones in the NFL draft this year. So that aside is what it is. Um, I kind of thought I should say that Corum would return to Michigan. And that brings up another point. Do you think that NIL now having a factor, it might actually deter some of these guys from truly saying, I'm actually going to go to the draft? Because before NIL was even a factor, a lot of guys just say, I'm going to the NFL draft just so, I could secure the bag and this, that, the other. Now it's like, with NIL play, hey, you have a chance to, probably get more money than your entire NFL rookie deal could afford you. You ever consider staying? I just think that NIL is a very big deal nowadays. And I respect Stroud for doing what he did. He waited until the last minute. It kind of shows his like, I want to say his respect, but also like, how much he loves Ohio State, how much that school is tied to him in a lot of ways. And, I get it, probably contemplating winning a Big Ten championship, beating Michigan and winning a national title. And if he would have came back, they could have very well have really done it in 2024. But he chooses to move on to bigger and better things, and I don't blame him. It's just, it is what it is at this point. You kind of have to look for, next year's draft class for quarterbacks is going to be stacked at the NFL level. So, there's that. I mean, NIL is going to be a future play. Now, I do want to touch on this because a lot of people kind of seen this as a surprise. Penn State lets go of former wide receiver coach Tyler Steubenville, and he gets replaced by Virginia wide receiver coach Marquise Hagans. I hope I'm saying that right. I believe it is Hagans. Let's see. Stubblefield, I should say Stubblefield. I don't know why I'm saying Stubblefield, but Stubblefield has coached former Penn State wide receivers such as Jahan Dotson, Parker Washington, and Keandre Lambert-Smith. All have done great things in a Penn State uniform. Jahan Dotson being a top-tier draft pick as a wide receiver. And, the same could be said for Parker Washington, depending on where he falls and stuff. But here's what really catches my eyes about Hagans at Virginia. He played as a quarterback there, from what I've been told and from what I've seen, prior to playing as a wide receiver in the NFL from 2006 to 2010. After that, he returned to Virginia as a grad assistant. And then besides being a grad assistant, he then transitioned to a wide receiver coach. And then he was also the associate head coach under Tony Elliott in 2022. Now, these two stats are what really sticks out to me. And now I want your thoughts on this. I do not really know how to say this guy's name, but I'm going to go ahead and try. Olamide Zacchaeus, I would say his name is. He led the Cavs in many categories, but it was him, Andre Levron, and Donnie Dowling all surpassed 600 yards in the same season. And then a separate stat says in 2021, UVA was the only team in the country to have 5 pass catchers surpass 500 yards and 4 wideouts having more than 600 yards. This is crazy because seeing those stats make it all pop out to you like, okay, that's impressive.
Yeah. A lot of passing yardage, probably passing yardage down the field. So it could be a good pickup for Penn State.
I only say that because knowing who Penn State has coming back at wide receiver and knowing, what their freshmen have done, but more importantly, who they have as experience coming back. Drew Aller's going to have some growing pains, but it's good to get him the playing time that they got him this season. This could all honestly just be a home run, I think. Especially, I know the wide receivers that they have gotten through the transfer portal too, because I believe Cephas from Kent State is officially in, and then that dude from Florida State too. His name is not popping up to me, but I do know that he is transferred to Penn State as well. This could really be a swing in the home run ballpark for James Franklin and his staff. I mean, and it's just not only just the guys that they have coming in, but it's this guy's pedigree on what he's done. Like, those stats stick out to a coach, a head coach at that. Like, wait, you did that? Like, man, I could have you come in here with these wide receivers and do this. It's just it is what it is. I'm looking forward to it, not because, I'm necessarily a PSU fan, but, I'm looking forward to it just based off of, what can you do? I do know that before they made the switch, that Penn State was kind of having some tough luck with landing certain wide receivers in the portal. I think that in some ways this helps. This also helps with their recruiting in the Virginia area, just because he is going to be an associate recruiting coordinator as well. But it's great whenever you could get a guy that has played college football, but also has NFL experience as well under his belt, and then has come back to the college ranks. That's always a plus. And who knows, maybe it's a rebuilding year for Ohio State in terms of certain positions, but I'm just glad that they found a guy. I didn't think that James Franklin just wasn't, but, nowadays in college football with, head coaching extensions and, certain assistant coaching pool money, it's hard to pull certain talent.
Yeah.
Excuse me. But anyway, any more thoughts you have to add on to that?
No.
Well, that's going to do it for this edition of the MLB Inside the Diamond podcast. Coming up on Sunday, we will be diving into the NFC and AFC championship games. I know the NFC one's going to be a very sought after game to watch. The AFC one might be up in the air, but we'll talk about that and more when we're back on Sunday. So for LaMarr Fields, I am Tom Johnston. We will see you guys on the next one.